I'm here with Cobb County Investigator Kristine, working a recruiting booth over at the GROC conference. You've been in law enforcement for 24 years.
Correct.
So in a short version, in 24 years, what roles have you had at with the agency?
I have worked at the Adult Detention Center. I've worked courts. I've worked transport. I've worked CID, fraud and forgery. I also did field operations, serving warrants, paperwork. I worked at the district attorney's office here in Cobb County as well for 9 years as an investigator over there, and now recruiting.
Pretty much done everything.
A lot. Yes.
Well, that's got to be when recruiting. It's got to be helpful that you can speak to some of the different jobs people have opportunities to grow into.
Yes, it does help because some of the recruiters that we have are younger, and they've actually not done anything else except work the jail.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it does help.
What was your favorite role?
Fraud and forgery.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, that's my thing.
What about that? Was it the investigative piece that drove that passion?
That and actually the victims, because I initiated the cases and worked from there, and I just strictly dealt with them and made a difference, actually.
Okay.
So yes, I like that.
We've actually had some guests on the podcast who've been victims of financial fraud and scams, and they talked about how that interaction with law enforcement or with the banks or whoever, that can be difficult because they're embarrassed about being victimized.
Yes, it usually is. I mean, I've worked those kind of cases as well, besides the credit card fraud, but the money that you've just given to people you've met online, the dating thing. So yes, I've had all of that.
Maybe in short version, but I know we've talked to people, so like romance scams.
Yes.
They're sending, oftentimes it's vulnerable people or elderly people.
It is.
So they're sending money to somebody they think is real, they're in love with.
Right.
And then they get contacted by the bank or by law enforcement saying, hey, this is fraud. There's got to be a tough connection to not call somebody, hey, idiot, why would you send $30,000 to whatever, but be empathetic and be caring, but still be investigative.
Correct, yeah. And then you just try to educate them, and actually a lot of their families, to educate them about checking up with them, making sure that they're having contact with them. A lot of them are lonely.
Right.
And so you just have to keep an eye on elderly people, and even the single people that are out there that just don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have any friends.
Well, and it's so sophisticated now. Like you can see these phishing emails and text messages that come through that say your UPS package is delayed. Click here.
Right.
And so anybody can really fall victim to something like that.
I've gotten caught too.
I'm sure. So in the recruiting space, what's that like in today's climate? Because there's a lot of people that might be resistant to law enforcement as a career, but obviously it's a prideful, powerful career that people should be proud of. So is that difficult to recruit in this space?
Yes and no. The money that we've been offering, of course, has drawn a lot of new people to this area.
Right.
But everybody wants to help people. But I tried to even dig further than that. Okay, we all want to help people, but why really do you want to do this? For me, it was the law. I like the law.
Right.
And I think people should obey the law.
Yeah.
So it was about helping people as well. But so we have all different aspects of people coming in, from young to old. I mean, even the older people, we have no age limit.
Okay.
But they bring so much wisdom.
Sure.
And so much that these younger folks just don't know. So we encourage everybody to apply.
Well, I like that question too, because you get, I'm sure, people that want to join law enforcement because what they saw on TV, or they just want to put handcuffs on bad guys. But there's so much more to the job, and you got to know what is driving your passion that actually is going to fulfill a lengthy career.
Correct. And I try to get that out of people because I want to know that I'm going to hire somebody that's going to take my place. I'm not going to be here forever. And I want them to know all the ins and outs of it and make sure this is really what they want to do. And so I do try to dig into that as a recruiter, asking those questions, and not just because you want to help people. There's got to be more to it than that to keep you here.
Right.
Because you're going to be disappointed.
Right. Multiple times. But it'll be also, I'm sure, prideful on making such an impact on the community. It's such a neat role to have when you get that pat on the back, even if it doesn't ever come.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Last question I'll ask you. So the podcast is all about communication, and our training firm teaches interview and interrogation, which is all about communication. So just kind of open-ended, how has effective communication, whether it's interviewing or just in general, but helped you in your career?
Oh, wow. From the day I started.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have have to talk to people that's been locked up who do not want to be there or who know they need to be there. So it's just a huge part of the job. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be going hands-on every day fighting somebody. Well, that's not what I signed up to do, basically.
Right.
So talking it is, and you just learn to, in every aspect, you have to use it. And of course, investigations with the fraud and forgery, you got to figure out who's telling you the truth, who's not telling you the truth.
Right.
You know, sometimes you are duped, but you know, but oh yeah, definitely. It's a huge part of this career. You have to be able to talk to people and figure out what's really going on.
And for the most part, if you can effectively communicate, you can de-escalate.
That is true.
Hopefully, right?
Yes.
And try to prevent ever having to pull the weapon out or getting these uncomfortable
Right.
situations.
I've only done that once.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully not here. We're in a good environment with a bunch of good investigators. Well, thanks for joining me. I'll let you go back and recruit some of these people over to your agency. I appreciate your time.
I'm going to try. Thank you.